Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where our friends are going to notice that we age faster than them, I guess. Because this week we watched A Town Called Mercy.
And my Toby Whithouse.
Directed by Saul Metzstein, although I realized while watching this week that it could also be pronounced Metzstein, but I'm going to go with Metzstein because it's, I don't know. It seems more likely. That's what I said last week.
On September 15th, 2012.
Yeah, so A Town Called Mercy. We're back in America after three episode absence.
With actual American actors this time.
Who can actually speak
at least one.
American.
Isaac, the guy who played Isaac, was American for sure. I don't know about the rest of the people.
Yeah, he apparently took the job because he was like, I always wanted to be in a Western. And also I love Doctor Who since I was a kid. But mainly I always wanted to be in a Western.
Yeah, the Shannon Sullivan site made it out as if, or the way they described this was like, this guy was an American, but he studied in England and was married to a British woman, so he was well acquainted with Doctor Who. I was like, well, that's the prerequisite for being like well acquainted, like or being acquainted. Like plenty of Americans who have nothing to do with the UK know what Doctor Who is and love the show. So, there you go.
Oh, you're saying that the way that they wrote it made it out like you have to be
yeah. I mean, Doctor Who is a worldwide like show, or it's pretty famous worldwide.
Right. Well.
The rest of the actors, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure the rest of the actors were British.
Yeah, I don't really know. I couldn't find anything out about pretty much all of them, I guess, except for the fact that the guy who played the cyborg had to go through 3.5 hours of makeup to get that cybernetic eye on.
It was worth it. Looked like it was a really cool design. I mean, the character itself, a little questionable, but
and his acting wasn't great.
I thought it was good.
Wikipedia tries to justify this because they're like, well, he only had to act with one eye. And I was like, okay.
I didn't find any problem with his acting. Honestly, how much you de-hyped this story last week probably made this better than, or I probably enjoyed it more than I otherwise would have.
Maybe that was the master plan all along.
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world.
I just think it's the best, mediocre.
It's the best this season so far.
Okay, but that's a really low bar.
Dinosaurs on the Spaceship and Asylum of the Daleks weren't great.
You have a really low bar to jump over there,
yeah,
my friend.
But it was okay. Wasn't bad.
Story was predominantly filmed in Spain, I found out.
Yeah, so they really went for that spaghetti western thing, passing off Spain as the American West.
Well, I mean, I found out that it was just cheaper for them to fly to Spain, film in these Wild West parks, basically, than it was to build a Wild West set in England. So,
or come over here, but yeah, no, that was the impetus behind spaghetti westerns being in Spain as well.
They filmed I'm trying to remember what they were called. They're called Texas Hollywood or something like that is the name of these parks where they filmed. There were 2 different ones they filmed at.
Well, there are these parks in Spain that capitalize on the spaghetti westerns that were filmed there, in the 60s and 50s and 70s and whatever. Yeah,
that's what I'm referring to. I'm going to bring up their names here. Mini Hollywood and Texas Hollywood. That's what they're called, allegedly. So, and apparently, Toby Whithouse didn't really know what to do with a large portion of this episode.
Well, I think I remember reading it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You can clearly tell that when you watch the episode. It's halfway through. It's all right, just what's happening here? First half was solid, and then you just kind of drop off until the end. But
it's basically also the instant it hits the halfway mark is when it happens. Because I noticed that. I was like, hey, it's going all right. And then I looked at the timestamp and I was exactly halfway through the episode. I'm like, wait a minute. What's going to happen now?
I didn't remember. What was the one with the werewolf and the one where they first formed Torchwood?
Moon. Something like that. It's the
Whatever
one with Victoria.
One. Yeah, the one
Tooth and Claw.
Victoria. Yeah, Tooth and Claw. Remember in Tooth and Claw when you check the time, I think this is, there's probably about 20 minutes left, and you check the timestamp and there's 5 minutes left. This is the opposite. You're I'm pretty sure this is almost done. And you check the timestamp and it's 20 minutes left. What's going to happen? And as it turns out, nothing of too much importance.
Well, other than that, it's just nothing.
No, it's things, but it's just questionable things. But anyway,
And that's about that. You can kind of see everything in this episode that Moffat was telling Chris not to do last week, the self-sacrifice and
Yeah,
everything else.
yeah. Well, I read Toby Whithouse wasn't too acquainted with spaghetti westerns, although he supposedly liked the genre after having watched the Sergio Leone movies.
Yeah, well, those are really good movies, so...
Yeah, just like the most basic mainstream spaghetti westerns you could watch. You know, he'd watch those, so that's good at least.
I mean, have you watched any other ones?
No.
Are there any others that are even good?
I don't know. No idea.
Well, apparently along those same lines, he was advised not to watch The Gunfighters. Apparently someone told him it wasn't exactly the jewel in the crown.
Well, like I said earlier before recording, that was more of a comedy western, whereas this is more of a...
I mean, but
I don't
it
know.
features the same kind of mistaken identity thing that the Doctor has going for him, which is kind of weird when you think about it.
Yeah, but it also features that great dentistry scene.
Also
The
features
vocal
that
song?
that ballad that's played like at the end of every episode. Does it also feature it? That was Steven, right? Steven was the companion during that one.
Yeah,
Steven and Vicky.
Stephen Dodo.
Steven and Dodo.
I don't remember.
I thought it was Steven and Vicky.
I can't remember.
Oh God. Oh
No,
God.
Vicky. Wait, did Vicky go? Did Vicky leave before
Before
Ian
what?
and Barbara?
No, Ian and Barbara left first. Ian and Barbara
Or
left.
left when Steven joined.
Yeah, Ian and Barbara left when Steven joined in the
Vicky
chase, and Vicky
stayed.
was there already. Yeah, Vicky stayed.
Huh. Okay.
So there were Steven and Vicky stories. I'm pretty sure
So
Gunfighters
wait,
was Steven and Vicky.
Was Steven in? Oh God,
Steven in what?
the one where Vicky left, the ancient, the
Yeah,
the
he
Trojans.
was.
He was in the Trojans.
He
I
didn't really
don't-
do much in that episode. But yeah, he was. You know what? I'm just going to look up the Gunfighters and we'll find out if it was Steven and Dodo. You're right. I was sure it was Steven and Vicky, though. Oh, well, Steven and Dodo. Guess it goes to show how different Dodo, Vicky, and Susan really were.
Dodo is a really underused companion. I'm really hoping there are big finishes out there that give Dodo the good stories she deserves. I don't know why I'm coming around to Dodo after all these years of saying that she was kind of a mediocre companion.
Because she was kind of a mediocre companion, and her write-out was hot garbage. The Doctor sent her away for like an episode to go heal in the countryside, and then she just sent a letter back with Ben and Polly that was like,
I remember that.
just kidding.
No,
not
wasn't
going.
she just like in a hospital like nearby? Pretty sure that was. I don't remember honestly, but you know, whatever.
Whatever it was, she sent a message with
movie.
Ben and Polly that was like, just kidding, I'm not coming.
Yeah, I remember that.
Classic War Machines and Votan. I don't know how I remember that. So the story begins with a classic Moffat trope that I've noticed at this point, which is starting to get kind of boring, which is where somebody tells a story about a long-lost traveler who's come from far away and fell from the sky, and you're like, oh man, it's going to be the Doctor, but then surprise, halfway through the episode, just kidding, it's not the Doctor.
I mean, that really works when it was Rory, and you think it's
Yeah.
the Doctor, and then all of a sudden, twist, it's Rory. But here, no, the thing about this narration is it comes back at the end, and I forgot about it completely, and it came back at the end. I was like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, this was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, they're doing this kind of trope, this Moffat trope I've noticed that I never picked up on before with this. And they do this a lot. I realized, like they did it last week, when Solomon's like, yes, the Doctor. And then it's just revealed it was just looking for a generic Doctor, not the Doctor. And they keep doing this.
That's not exactly the same, I wouldn't say, but...
It is kind of the same, though, because the Doctor arrives and they're like, oh, it's the Doctor.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with, telling this story about the Doctor.
I mean, I guess there's no story in that, but still, Moffat continually does this, someone's looking for the Doctor, but it's not the Doctor.
Yeah. And once again, I like when there are those similar things between episodes.
It's getting really boring, though. It's getting really boring.
But isn't it better when episodes are just iterations of each other?
No.
Oh, well, I say yes, completely.
I mean, I say no. Completely. I want Doctor Who to be different every week. If I wanted to watch the same thing, I would just go back and watch the episode again, right?
No, but
something
different
different.
takes on the same idea. I don't mean the exact same thing, because if you want to watch the exact same thing, watch the exact same thing.
I
But
guess.
I like when there's just minimal changes.
I guess. I don't agree, but I guess I see what you're saying. I mean, it's just kind of boring to me. They keep doing this. And we'll continue to keep doing this.
Good.
So.
Hell yeah. But anyway, this guy dies. He's killed by... It's kind of obscured. It's at night. It's dark and it's in the desert, so you don't really see what's going on. But some guy dies. It's killed by a...
cyborg walks up and
killed by, like,
make
this...
peace with your gods.
Yeah. Sort of a Frankenstein-like character. Frankenstein's creature.
Intentional, apparently. Kind of weird. Frankenstein's been haunting us for the past year.
Well, this is the 201st anniversary coming up in like a couple... it's in this month. I don't know what
Great, the 201st anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of those numbers nobody cares about. Speaking of anniversaries, our fifth anniversary is coming up soon.
Yeah, I have a real special episode planned for it
No,
that
we
haven't
don't.
been hinting at for the past 6 months.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do. It's our Daleks episode that we have been hinting at for the past 6 months.
No, we don't hype it down so everybody thinks it's better than it actually is.
I mean, we could just do... Oh, whatever, I'm not going to say this on recording because then we're going to feel obligated to do it.
Anyway, the title sequence plays, and then we get the Doctor, Amy, and Rory.
Once again, themed to the episode.
Yeah, the Doctor Who logo is made out of wood now. I think that's what it was.
I thought it was like sand dunes.
Oh, you know what? It's unclear. And that's kind of the problem with this theming. You don't really know what it is.
Well, it could be either. I don't see that as a problem, but...
Yeah, well, they stopped that after the snowman. Mainly because they changed the whole title sequence after the snowman, but anyway.
Oh man, are the snowmen the Yeti?
So...
What was that?
The Doctor, Amy, and Rory kind of walk up to this town. The TARDIS is nowhere in sight.
Yeah, so here's the weird thing, is that the first shot of this, you see the Doctor, and then you hear, like, Amy's voice from off-screen, and that's when you get, okay, Amy and Rory are also in this. So I wasn't sure if they were going to be or not.
Surprise, they are.
Yeah.
And surprise, they don't really do anything, so they could have just been cut from the whole episode.
Yeah, there's some interesting
Except for that
dialogue
one
with
scene
them.
where Amy's like, when did we start murdering people? And I'm just like, literally last week. Literally the last adventure you went on. We're going to get there because I have some things to say.
Well,
on
there's
that.
this thing in this season of like, what happens to these companions after they travel with the Doctor. So they could do that a little. They're doing that well, I think. They could do it a little better with having, a story without them. And then because next week they come back and the next week is really rooted in Amy and Rory's life in Ledworth or wherever they live now.
Yeah.
Wherever the Doctor bought them that house. So it could have been better. They have these two stories, Asylum of the Daleks and Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, and then they're not there. The Doctor's moved on, but he touches back to them next week.
Yeah, I want to touch on that at the end because I think this episode would have worked better without Amy and Rory at all. But they see this line around the town and they're like, that's kind of weird, and they just step over it into town. Everyone's kind of staring at them, and the Doctor's like, that's weird. And he pulls out a toothpick and puts it in his mouth.
Yeah, there are electric lights in the town.
And Rory's like, well, why is that a problem? And the Doctor's like, well, it's 10 years too early. And he's like, well, that's fine. It's just a town in the middle of nowhere. No one knows.
Well, so you have to think, like, if it's 10 years before electricity, is this town in the middle of nowhere really going to be one of the first places to get it? Or maybe the Doctor's also saying, 10 years before a place like this would have electricity. So
I think he's saying 10 years before it was even invented.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So it's like, I really have to question if this town is going to be the forefront of, like, electricity.
And I think you're supposed to question it because it's not. I mean, the town is not. Surprise.
It's being powered by aliens. As most, like, things on Earth are. Not even, like, anachronistic things. Just, like, most things on Earth in this show are the doing of aliens.
Yeah, it turns out
like the
humans
creation
suck.
of Earth. Like the creation of, like, life on Earth.
Or like the entire human civilization, which was controlled by like various alien species, depending which story you want to believe. Could be the Silent, could be the Daemons. I don't know. Take your pick.
Oh man, the Silents are actually pretty similar to the Daemons now that I think about it.
You think the Daemons ever met the Silents? Big finish. Gives you opportunity.
Daemons versus Silence.
4 CD box set featuring I don't
That
know.
gargoyle guy who had a name that I forgot. His tongue sticking out.
You could have someone go 5 rounds rapid in the middle of the story. Special appearance by the Beast from the Beast Below. Not the Beast Below, from Satan Planet, Satan Pit.
Yeah, it is really confusing that the Beast, the number of the Beast or whatever, isn't from the Beast Below.
I mean, that's a problem you're going to run into. The more episodes you release, the more episode names you're going to realize might have been better fit for other episodes. But whatever. So the Doctor goes into the bar, the saloon, and in the most awkward entrance possible, just kind of kicks the door open really clumsily and walks in, and everyone's staring at him. He's like, tea.
I actually thought this was
strong
funny.
stuff.
Keep the bag in. I thought that was pretty funny, actually. Good on Toby Whithouse or whoever he stole the joke from.
Then everyone's like, who are you? And he's like, well, I'm the Doctor. And everybody stands up. And the Doctor's like, well, no need to stand up. And they're like, are you an alien? And he's like, yeah, I guess I am. So they throw him out of the town, over the line. And the gunslinger comes teleporting in. It's a really cool scene where the gunslinger like walks a bit and then he teleports forward. And then
yeah, I really like that.
he walks and he teleports forward a bit.
And you know, the gunslinger has like predator vision.
Kind of makes you wonder.
Terminator
Slash Silurian vision.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you wonder if he was actually built by the Silurians. But
well, it's all blue, and you know he has that target acquired thing in English. Oddly enough,
yeah,
I mean it's not too big of a deal, but it takes you out of the moment. Like,
really
all
didn't
right.
take me out of the moment. I was
me-
just like, well, okay. I mean, it's for the benefit of the audience.
Yeah, it is, but you know, I don't know.
Just pretend the audience has access to the TARDIS translation circuits too.
Yeah,
I mean, I just remembered the scene this companion brings up later is like, you know, the TARDIS translates everything, and the companion's like, I guess it does lip sync too, because everybody's mouth looks like they're speaking English too. And I was like, that's a good point, actually. But
what if everything they're seeing just like isn't real, and it's just like
just like a holodeck.
Yeah, or like the TARDIS is just I don't know manipulating their
Telepathic circuits.
In some way, it is manipulating their senses.
I mean, yeah, we know the TARDIS has telepathic circuits, so makes you wonder. What if the Doctor's just drugging up his companions and like these adventures aren't actually happening, it's all in their minds.
Well, you know, this story is what happens when you get
Big Finish.
breadcrumbs on the TARDIS console.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Apparently they're aiming for Mexico, and the Doctor's like, well, that's what happens when you get breadcrumbs in the TARDIS console.
Or it's just the Doctor being like, yeah, that was totally the breadcrumbs.
I mean, it's just the TARDIS being the TARDIS. You know, Doctor's wife, TARDIS takes you wherever you need to go kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess they really needed to go here.
Yeah, I mean, this gunslinger was going to starve this town to death, so they really needed to go there.
Slash just like come in and kill them. It seemed pretty impatient at the end.
I mean, not only that, the marshal who rescues the Doctor now, and
Isaac.
Isaac, and he tells everybody like, you guys know that this isn't the Doctor the gunslinger's looking for.
Yeah, because they know of the Doctor. I guess they just kind of want a scapegoat.
Yeah, I guess they do, because they don't want to. The other Doctor saved them from an outbreak of cholera. Isaac kind of plot dumps this in like in kind of a clunky way, but what I was going to say
I thought it was fine. Like
about about the gunslinger was that Isaac kind of insinuates the gunslinger's just been killing people who come into town, because Isaac's like, nobody comes in, nobody goes out. And they're like, well, he let us in. He's like, you didn't have food on you. And I was like, does that mean the gunslinger's just killing every like supply caravan that comes in?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It's not letting supplies get into the town.
Which seems really weird to me, because the gunslinger like doesn't want to kill innocents.
I know, but he's just trying to starve them out until they eventually give up the
well, I know
Doctor.
that, but like he's killing these innocent people, just these supply caravans coming in, right? So
Oh yeah, I mean maybe he's not killing them. Maybe he's just like scaring them off. Who knows?
what? He's gonna let these people get away and bring like an army to take down the cyborg freaking alien monster they see out in the wilderness. Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, that doesn't happen, right? So
Yeah, but I mean, just thinking about it, seems unlikely that he would just let these people go.
I mean, it also seems unlikely that they would bring in the army.
I guess.
But whatever. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
It's the Wild West. They brought in the army for less.
I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. But anyway, Isaac explains what's going on. The doctor, the other doctor,
Jax,
Collar
Jax, who just made me think of Shiraz Jack from Caves of Anzani. Yeah. Not like in actions, but in name. Although kind of in actions too. Both of them are kind of mad psychopaths who are... Yeah.
Well, I mean, the idea...
Deformed.
We bring up this, like, scapegoat thing where they want to throw out the doctor and have the gunslinger kill, the 11th Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So that might have something actually to do with what's going on in this story, because Collar Jack is also an alien.
Jax is
also an alien from the planet Collar. Wait a minute. Cholera?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Some Terry Nation level naming there.
Anyway, he committed war crimes, developed these cyborgs.
Well, so we don't find this out.
But we can just explain it now because it's just convenient to do so. He developed these cyborgs to put an end to this ongoing war, which was successful. They ended the war pretty quickly after they created these killing machines.
Right.
But, killed millions and also experimented on people and made people's lives miserable and, performed unethical experiments and all this kind of stuff to do that.
He killed a bunch of people. He had to kill a bunch of people in the process of developing the cyborgs because the cyborg conversion failed, I think is what the doctor says.
Right. And I don't know, what it made me think of was like the bombing of Japan, right? Is like all these innocent people died, in Hiroshima and whatever Nagasaki to
ostensibly.
Well, the narrative that like people, or not people, but like that you tends to get pushed by some.
Well,
parts of
allegedly, what they told Truman was dropping the bombs would save millions of lives. If they did the analysis,
well, I mean, that's what that's the narrative that's pushed to this day. Is like, they killed all these people, but the loss of life would have been greater if the war went on.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That's what they told Truman because FDR died before they dropped the bombs, and Truman comes into office, not knowing anything about these bombs, and then they're like, "We've got these nukes. You have to decide right now: are we dropping these nukes or are we invading Japan?" And they told, allegedly, Truman that ostensibly the nukes would save lives, that an invasion would cost millions more on both sides. So.
Yeah. Also, supposedly the fire bombings that had been going on for years killed like way more than the bombs and were like way more devastating on the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Suppose that's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true.
Great.
Anyway, it's sort of this similar situation here.
I mean, this was a really opportune moment for them to bring in the Time War again, but I was really surprised to hear that they didn't.
That was Russell T's thing. I'm not surprised that's been totally abandoned.
Yeah, Russell T's thing. Yeah, let's say that when it gets brought back as the major plot point of the 50th anniversary special in literally 1 year from this episode. Yeah, that's Russell T's thing. I mean, not only that, it's been in the Moffat era. Like, in the 11th Doctor's first season, he mentions it multiple times to Amy.
Oh, but not to the same extent.
And Amy even brings it up in that one episode.
Enough.
So...
Not to the same extent.
And even in The Doctor's Wife, where the house is like, I've killed Time Lords, and the Doctor's like, I killed them all.
Well, they do bring it up in some minimal capacity here, where Jax is like, when I look into your eyes, Doctor, I see myself. You carry the weight of all the lives you've taken and stuff like that. Which is referring to, his, many things, including the Time War.
But I felt like this was an opportune moment to bring it up where the Doctor would be like, yeah, I fought in a war. And yeah, I committed war crimes. And you know what? I've been paying for it for like 3 lifetimes now.
Yeah, no, I think that is brought up subtly, right? But also, the second half of this episode is a good time to go into that.
Yeah.
Because of what they do in the second half of this, which we'll get to.
And there's a lot of really obvious parallels between Jex and the Doctor that could have been brought up with the whole war, and war changes you. Because Jex is like, look, you can't compare war to peacetime. Like, that could have been a really...
again, I
I
think
don't know. I think it's just a missed opportunity.
no.
in my
Again,
opinion.
I think they do bring this up just in a more subtle way than like outright saying it. But then there's also these other moments in this episode that just beat you over the head with like this. I'll just bring it up now. The one where Jex is sitting in the jail cell and he's like, "Yeah, you're just mad that I'm not just one thing. I'm this doctor who saved the town, and I'm also this war criminal." I'm like, yes, we know what this story's about. We get that.
It's one of those moments where it's telling and not showing. We're not there yet, but because they come up with this plan to evacuate the town, the doc's like, I'll just go get the TARDIS and we just use the TARDIS to evacuate everyone. And they don't tell us this. This is another one of these really, like, I don't know. Some of the dialogue in this episode is kind of clunky.
Bad. It's just flat out like dumb.
Yeah.
But we should mention that Jex has a face tattoo on the side of his face. Real Post Maloning it up here. And kidding.
I thought for a long time that Post was the made up part of that name and his name was like Austin Malone, but his name's actually Austin Post. So his stage
you know
name,
how he came up with that name, right? It was
I don't actually.
It was when he was a teenager, he like went online and went on like those rap name generator sites or whatever. And it's from that.
It's actually hilarious.
Yep.
Post Malone's a pretty cool guy, I'm not gonna lie.
Someone told me, actually, the way I found that out is someone told me it was short for like postpone my student loan. Like, I'm going to see if this music thing works out. So I'm going to postpone my student loan. I was like, wait, what? So I looked that up and like I couldn't find that anywhere. And I found, what I did find was this rap name generator thing. So I'm guessing that that's true. And not the postpone my student loan thing.
Anyway, back on the topic of dialogue being clunky, they come up with this plan where the Doctor runs to go get to the TARDIS, and they send out Isaac and Rory as distractions, and they hide behind this rock, and then Isaac has this line where he's like, we're supposed to be the distractions, and Rory's like, yeah, I was there when we came up with the plan. And Isaac's like, I'm saying it more for my own benefit, like they try to justify it, but I'm like, I see what you're doing here. It's not going to work.
But it turns out the gunslinger is also saying, I see what you're doing here, but it's not going to work because like the Predator, he has heat vision.
Well, he still thinks that this is Jex because the Isaac is wearing...
Isaac.
Yeah, I was going to say the Marshal, but I guess he's a companion now, more of a companion than Amy, who I don't think ever got a slip like that. Classic.
Really? Huh.
I don't think so. Not yet.
Did Rory?
I think Rory did.
Wow.
Back when he was the Centurion.
Wow.
Pretty sure one of us went to go say the Centurion and said the Rory.
Wow, really says a lot about Amy.
If you're a fan out there and you can remember when we said the Amy, because I can't remember, email us.
I'm a fan of Amy. I
said
Amy.
A fan of us.
Oh.
Are you a fan of us?
I guess. Sure.
Isaac is wearing Jex's clothes, and so the gunslinger thinks he's Jex, but then he hears the alarm from Jex's spaceship goes off because the Doctor gets into the spaceship.
Yeah, the Doctor breaks protocol, deviates from the plan.
And then Jex pulls a gun on Amy, and he's like, the Doctor really should have stuck to the plan.
Yeah, it turns out this alarm is extremely loud, and they can hear it all the way in town. Jex's ship is kind of shaped like a dinosaur egg.
Yeah. A little weird.
And as soon as the Doctor gets in, a self-destruct sequence starts.
An Abraxas security system. But the Doctor uses a sonic screwdriver to deactivate it.
Yeah, I forgot how he deactivated it. I guess
he points a sonic screwdriver at the screen and it deactivates. Then the security system tells him everything about... Well, he asks the security system for personal files on Jex, and it gives him all these files, and then the Doctor...
We see this... There's this shot of, like, the light from the screen reflected in the Doctor's eyes, and he's like, no, it can't be.
Except he doesn't say that. He just goes, as expected.
Yeah. He rushes back to town. He's like,
he gets stopped by the gunslinger first before he does that. The gunslinger confronts him at the ship.
He meets
the gunslinger.
He has this sick convo with the gunslinger.
The gunslinger's like, bring me Jex.
Next person who steps out of that town better be Jex, because I'm going to kill them, whoever they are.
Yeah.
Based on the gunslinger's like personality, and you got to wonder if that's true or if it's just a bluff.
Oh, so the horse is named Susan, which I'm not sure if it's a reference to Susan the companion, or
I don't know why it would be.
I don't know why it wouldn't be. I mean, there's nobody else on the show
but
named Susan.
what's
but,
the connection between Susan Foreman and Susan slash whatever this?
I don't know.
What did they say its name was?
Well, the horse's name was Joshua, but
right,
the doctor's
Joshua.
like, no, it's not, it's Susan. The preacher's like, what? And he's like, I can speak horse. He wants you to respect his life choices.
Yeah, we forgot to mention the preacher character.
He just prays.
Yeah.
Then there's the Undertaker. He just measures.
No, he had that other sick convo with the doctor where he's like, you know what, I trusted Isaac, so I trust you.
We're not there yet. Spoilers.
It's after Isaac's death.
Spoilers.
I think Isaac's death really worked. Like, out of all the or story-specific characters who die, and like, all right, this one I kind of felt something for.
I agree.
Because Isaac's whole deal was that the rest of the people in the town wanted to give up Jex, but Isaac was like, no, we can't do that, right? He saved us from this outbreak of cholera, and now you guys just want to sacrifice him. I'm not going to let you do that.
He also gave us heat and light.
Right.
But
So
I mean,
really
I guess to Isaac, cholera and heat and light outweigh war crimes. You know.
Well, he also. That's what this story's about, right? To them, this guy is a hero,
Yeah.
but to others, he's a villain.
Yeah. But I mean, the doctor kind of makes a compelling point when he comes rushing in now, because Jex has got a gun on Amy, and Isaac's like, what are you doing? And the doctor rushes in, and now, also kind of clunkily, explains that Jex was a
I
scientist
didn't think any of this was
on Kayla, who built cyborgs and
killed a bunch of people.
Killed a bunch of people.
Vicariously.
Well, not only that,
Not
directly.
only vicariously, but like through his experiments.
Yeah, like directly through his experiments, people died on the operating table.
Yeah.
And
Also ruined, like, the successful cyborgs' lives have been ruined. So,
yeah.
so he's sort of
And
a
he
Victor
killed all the
Frankenstein.
cyborgs, so he deactivates all the cyborgs at the end of the war, except for one who went rogue. Kind of like,
Which is this one. So sort of like this Victor Frankenstein type guy, in a way.
yeah. And the doctor kind of
Victor
makes
Frankenstein didn't kill millions, but maybe millions of animals in these experiments.
the doctor decides to drag Jex and throw him over the line, and kind of makes a compelling point here where he's like, a whole bunch of people die because I give like monsters mercy. And then he like mentions the master and the Daleks. I'm like, you're right. Every time you kind of gave the master the benefit of the doubt, a whole bunch of people died. And if you didn't do that, then a whole bunch of people would be alive. And I know we mentioned that multiple times on this podcast.
Right. So the doctor's like, not anymore. Not this time.
Yeah, he's like, for once I honor the victims first. Which is actually interesting to think about, that he never really does that. That he basically always gives the villain the benefit of the doubt for like half the story before eventually going, yeah, I guess they're evil. I guess
I'll kill them.
I guess I'll take them down now. And it's like, well, you could have avoided a lot of bloodshed if you'd done that 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, but that's what's endearing about the Doctor, right? Is that's also why he's such a I don't know, lovable character. I'll use that phrase. Is that he always gives them the benefit of the doubt. He always he always tries to see the good, even when there's not any good. That's the thing also about Jax, is that there is good in him.
I mean, I agree.
As well as the bad.
I think you should give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying that he does, though, make a compelling point here about why they should just throw Jex out, because he's like, that gunslinger's just going to come in you and kill all of you.
Well, regardless of like his rhetoric, he forcibly removes Jex from the town. So there you go.
I mean, and this is when Rory's kind of going along with this, and I'm like, yeah, Rory kind of got the doctor's back here. My man, Rory. And Amy's like, when did we become murderers? I'm like, literally the last time you were with the doctor, he brutally murdered a dude. And let's not forget that the Solomon dude, if we compare Solomon to Jex, Solomon did way less. They're both war criminals.
Now we're
take
putting
that back.
up again, like measuring like how many lives did you take versus you.
I take that back because I forgot about the whole Silurian massacre. But anyway, my point is, he killed Solomon, literally lost adventure, and Amy seems to be forgetting this. Or maybe she just decides not to think about it. Or maybe she hasn't realized that basically what the doctor did last week is just straight up murder.
Also, I have to wonder, how long has it been for Amy and Rory?
I guess.
But also, if we're taking sides here, then I'm totally on Amy's side.
I'm not.
I am.
I'm on Rory's side. Rory's on the side of whichever side gets him out of this town alive, and I'm on Rory's side for this one.
Anyway, what happens is the doctor throws Jex outside of the barrier and brings him outside of the barrier, actually. And Amy is like, all right, everyone, shut up. And, she shoots off her gun.
She pulls a gun out of someone's pocket because the doctor pulls a gun out of Isaac's holster and turns it on Jex to prevent him from coming back into the town.
This is a very striking shot for the 11th Doctor. I know we've talked about the 11th Doctor being more ruthless and more dark than previous Doctors, and all of a sudden we get this shot where it's just him, pointing a realistic gun.
I mean, we've had that. We've had a shot like that before, though.
Well, with the 10th Doctor, yeah.
No, with the 11th Doctor. I mean, not pointing at a guy, but he pulls a gun out in Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone when he shoots the glow orb. And there's that, that's how the first episode of that two-parter ends with a shot just of the Doctor pointing the gun at the camera and you don't know what he's pointing it at.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this shot, right, where it's this, side view and he's directly pointing at this guy's head. That's a very striking shot to me.
Yeah. I guess. Amy pulls a gun on the Doctor and the Doctor's like, you're not going to shoot me. And she's like, what? Well, you seem to have changed. Maybe I've changed. I'm like, no, you really haven't, Amy. I mean, the Doctor's changed. I agree with that. But you really haven't, Amy. But also, you're the same.
But also there's this thing when he says that is that, Amy's not going to shoot him. And he's not going to shoot Jex.
Yeah. I don't know.
And maybe this development is going to come to a head, at the end of the 11th Doctor or just later where it's like, all right, he is about to shoot someone, but... we get that dialogue and then we're like, okay, he's on the verge. I don't know. I feel like in this scene, he wants to be, bringing back that line, he wants to be a man who would, but no, I think he wants to be like this guy who is not going to give Jex the benefit of the doubt because he sees the destruction that's caused in the past, yet he can't bring himself to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Isaac dies because of this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right away. Right now, actually.
I think I kind of place Isaac's death on the Doctor's shoulders.
We can put it on as him, as the Doctor on the kill count.
I mean, the thing is what happens here is that it's kind of weird is that it actually kind of reinforces the Doctor's point because the Doctor's moment of hesitation and mercy pulling the gun away from Jex and telling Jex to come back over the line, that moment of hesitation is what gives Isaac the opportunity to cross around and push Jex out of the way.
Right, because the gunslinger tries to shoot Jex and Isaac pushes him out of the way and dies.
And it's like if the Doctor hadn't done that, if he just stuck with his plan, then Isaac would Isaac would have lived.
Right. But that's also, and that's the thing. I think that's a big reason why you can get behind the Doctor.
I think that's the reason why Isaac's death here works. So he's like, you got to protect these people, Doctor.
Yeah. The Doctor becomes the Marshal. He gets the Marshal badge.
I guess if you just
happen to kill the Marshal,
if you happen to be the nearest person to the Marshal, when he dies, you become the next Marshal.
No, I mean, I don't think that's how it works. It's just
who knows? There's no law out there.
But it is just this also like this moment of, this guy who's really not fit to be the next Marshal is now has the Marshal badge on.
I mean, here's the other thing: the Doctor kind of just bones this town, right? Because Jex built all this heating and electricity, and he powered it with his ship, right? But then he blows his ship up at the end. If Jex had just died in the gunslinger's hand, that ship would be all right. The heating, the light would be all good. But based on the Doctor's actions in this, no ship, no heat, no light. Everybody's back 10 years.
Well, that's probably a good thing, but that's also the thing of like why they find him to be a hero, right? Is he provided all this stuff? But then there's also, you can get into tons of hypothetical questions here of like, could they really continue having heat and light? Do they know how the ship works? Could they repair it, or could they continue using it? And I don't know. That doesn't really factor in, because again, this is where the story just kind of like up till now it was it's pretty
well
good.
Paced, pretty exciting, pretty good. But this is where it drops off a cliff because most of the next 20 minutes are just the Doctor talking with Jex, the Doctor talking with that 18-year-old.
And again, I think just the fact that it's conversations doesn't make it uninteresting. You can have very interesting conversations about what's going on.
Right.
But they don't. They just like remember what this story's about? Remember how this guy Remember how this guy saved these people? Remember how you learned that 10 minutes ago? Remember how you also learned he's a war criminal?
It's almost like this is a two-parter, and they're like trying to make up for the fact that maybe you didn't watch the first part.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine this being a two-parter, given how it just falls off this cliff halfway through this one-part episode.
Two-part serial, 25-minute episodes, like the Two Doctors, maybe?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Two Doctors was 3 episodes, though, I think. But
yeah, which ones were 2? Edge of Destruction.
Black Orchid.
Wait, was Edge of Destruction 2 or 4?
2.
Yeah, Black Orchid was 2.
Edge of Destruction was the first two-parter.
Yeah.
It was Black
And
Orchid.
one of the last. There aren't that many.
The Sontaran Experiment, I think it's called. The first Sontaran episode
the first
is
Sontaran
a
one.
two-parter as well.
The one with that one had
There was another Fifth Doctor two-parter besides Black Orchid. Enlightenment? No, not Enlightenment.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So there were a couple of Sixth Doctor ones because they switched to double-length episodes, so 4-part stories became 2-part stories with 45-minute episodes.
Well, whatever. I mean, we don't need to get.
There was that one that was a knockoff of Caves of Anjazani with the boar ad.
Oh, yeah, that one. Forgot what that one was called.
Yeah, me too. So they talk for a while. Not a lot gets done in this part.
There's this conversation between the Doctor and Jex in the jail cell, and it really reinforces what they set up at the beginning.
The cyborg gives him 24 hours. It gives him till high noon tomorrow to give them Jex.
Of course it would be high noon.
I mean, that was the thing. Toby Whithouse was like, I want to try and include all these stereotypes from Western movies. So that includes like the saloon, the showdown at high noon.
Yeah.
So this one feels a little forced. Showdown at high noon, but
I mean, I think that
the plan was
the end of this episode is it gets back on track near the end. I just think it meanders a little bit here because there's also this scene where this guy, a bunch of people actually, a lot of the town, because there's only 81 people in town.
Mm-hmm.
I guess 80 now that Isaac is dead.
Yeah.
Or -1 plus 3, so whatever. I don't know what that ultimately amounts
83?
to. 83. They confront the Doctor, and they're like, you know what, Marshall? Take a stroll. When you get back, this is all going to be over.
Yeah. It's another Western stereotype.
Yeah.
He's like, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And they're like, why not? And he pulls a gun on the Doctor. He's like, look, you seem like you're too young to have fought in the war. I don't know what war they're referring to here,
Civil
by
War.
The way. You think it's the Civil War?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or the Mexican-American
I was thinking it could
War.
be the Mexican-American War.
Yeah, could be.
Because this is in Mercy, Nevada.
Oh, really? Do they ever say it's in Nevada? Or is that just like a behind-the-scenes thing?
Yeah, it's just a behind-the-scenes thing you wouldn't know. I don't think Nevada was part of the Union during the Civil War. California was, surprisingly.
Yeah, it was. And why is that?
Why is that what?
Why was California a part of the Union? There's one simple answer, and Nevada wasn't.
Gold?
Yep.
But Nevada had silver.
Yeah, but gold.
Yeah, but gold.
Well, I don't know also if, I don't know the history behind this, but I don't even know if Nevada was part of Mexico. Because California was part of Mexico. And I don't think Nevada necessarily was.
I don't know.
I don't
they
know
only
either.
make you learn the history of your own state.
And even then, you forget like
Yeah.
90% of it. At least I
Yeah.
did.
I forgot 90% of American history, too.
Same.
I used to know like a substantial amount. I took a push.
Oh, I didn't even know that much, and I forgot 90% of whatever I knew. So, there you go.
Well, anyway, the Doctor and the Cyborg,
resolved.
have a showdown.
Well, this whole confrontation gets resolved by both sides backing down because the Doctor tells the guy that violence only begets more violence, which is nice. It relates back to Jex and everything like that.
I mean, here's the thing. The Doctor's plan here is basically let the Cyborg keep chasing Jex throughout the universe. I mean, this is actually a really cowardly play by the Doctor. The Doctor's kind of just wiping his hands of the situation. He's like, look, you can just chase Jex wherever you want. I'm just here to keep the town safe. And he knows that eventually Jex is going to get caught by the cyborg. Like,
yeah, but he doesn't want himself to be... He doesn't want Jex to, like, die at his hands.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of a really cowardly move by the Doctor. He's just like, He's just kind of saying, well, it's not my problem.
I was trying to save the town.
Yeah, but the thing is, he could have saved the town by just throwing Jex to the cyborg earlier. And that's basically what he's doing here. I think is why this resolution doesn't really, like, for the Doctor, doesn't really land for me. I like that Jex sacrifices himself, but, like, in terms of the Doctor, this doesn't really land because what he's basically doing anyway is the same thing. He's just taking the fight out of the town.
Well, here's the thing, is that doing this spurs Jex to, and you get the idea that Jex has this guilt anyway, but this spurs Jex to, sacrifice himself.
Well, yeah, but there's no real way the Doctor could have known that, especially since he seems like genuinely surprised at the end when Jex is like, I'm going to blow myself up.
Well, I mean, sure, but think about it from like a storytelling perspective. Is that, all right, this happens, so then, Jex sacrifices himself.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, like, from the Doctor's perspective. Like, people seem to give him a pass for this, like, oh yeah, the Doctor saved the town.
But I for sure give him a pass.
He's really doing the same thing, though. Like, Amy just seems to...
I don't think it's the same thing at all.
I think it is. I
don't at all.
The cyborg's going to chase Jex down, and eventually one of them's going to die, right? One of the two of them's going to eat it at some point. And that blood's...
Yeah, I mean, you can basically just say that Jex is going to die. Like, he's not going to beat the cyborg. Like, come on.
But, like, the Doctor doesn't really try to find, like, any sort of compromise between the cyborg and Jex here. He just basically tells Jex to run away, is, I guess, what I'm saying.
Yeah, but then this thing of, like, all right, this violence only begets more violence, saving the town also is what leads Jex to sacrifice himself, blow his ship up.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I liked that as the resolution of the story. Yeah. I'm just, like, talking from the Doctor's point of view. Like, the Doctor kind of seems like he's getting out of it scot-free in this case and getting what he wants, really, while disguising it as mercy or whatever. I guess just because functionally he's doing the same thing as throwing Jex out of the town. Because that's what he's doing. He's throwing Jex over the line and then just telling Jex to run away.
I mean, I don't know. We can argue this in circles for however long we want, but I don't think it's the same. But anyway, what happens is that the plan is to give everyone a face tattoo and have them run around the town.
But then the cyborg just switches to manual targeting mode, which immediately puts a dent in the plan.
Yeah, I didn't know until this moment that his cybernetic, like, weaponry and the cybernetic parts of his body were, like, voice controlled. He's like, all right, switch to manual. I was like, whoa, cool.
Well, so then Jex gets to his spaceship. He's like, surprise, Doc, I'm killing myself.
Yeah.
Blows up his ship, and the gunslinger's like, well, my mission's done. I'm gonna leave now. Blow myself up. And the Doctor's like, well, you could just, like, defend the peace. And he's like, yeah. I guess he accepts.
Like, yeah, I guess.
I guess he accepts
Fine.
this.
Yeah, he does.
Because
now we get this narration again where it's like, my great-grandmother had these stories.
Well, no, because first we smash cut to the Doctor, Amy, and Rory, who've apparently moved the TARDIS into the middle of town to leave. And they get in the TARDIS and leave. Kind of begs the question why they moved the TARDIS to town. Why did they just walk out into the desert back to the TARDIS to leave? It makes for this cool shot.
Cares? Yeah, it does make for this cool shot. It's also this thing of like, all right, got to really impress these people and make them seem crazy to anyone else they might talk to by having them witness the TARDIS.
No, because in the narration, she's like, we were no strangers to weird things happening.
They knew it was aliens all along and pretty much accepted it.
And when it disappears, everybody just turns around and walks away like unsurprised or unconcerned.
If they talk to anyone outside of this town, they're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about, you know?
I mean, that's why in the narration, the lady's like, yeah, whenever you ask us why there's no marshal, we just kind of say we have our own arrangement. And they're like, don't explain it. We have a freaking cyborg roaming the desert, right?
And that's when you see this shot of him wearing the marshal badge, which is kind of nice. And it ends.
Then we get a next time trailer. I forgot Brian comes back next week. Yeah.
Well, why would... I mean, this is a story set in, like, it's about Amy and Rory's, like, life.
And we get introduced to Kate next week.
Good God, who's Kate?
Kate Lethbridge Stewart.
Is the Ronnie in this? This is the optimal time to bring back the Ronnie.
Is it?
Yes.
Why?
No, it just is.
Ronnie and reboot who, when?
When is the Ronnie getting her own spin-off? When is the actually, forget the Ronnie for a minute. When is the Master getting his own spin-off?
The Master has a Big Finish spin-off.
I'm not talking about Big Finish, all right? I'm talking about on-screen, TV.
I don't want to go into that too much, but if they did something like what they did with the Master in a certain season of the show, then could be interesting.
What, season 8?
Oh, if I tell you what season it is, it'll spoil the Masters in that season. So, no, I'm not telling you.
Well, I already know the Masters in season 8, so you can just go ahead and say it.
Wow, that's
actually,
kind of
wait, was it 8 or 9 that had the Master in every episode?
Well,
it was 8.
I guess you'll find out. Because I'm not telling you. We're almost there. You could hold out for like 2 months.
I'm talking about season, like, way back when.
Season 8.
Yeah. I think it was season 8. I think it was season 7,
season 8.
Which was like
season 7 was
stumbling.
the 4. It was the 4 serial one. Season 8 was the one with the Master. Yeah. So, yeah. Maybe I was unnecessarily harsh on this episode, but I think in general, I just think this episode is largely forgettable. I think it's better than Asylum and Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, but I just find this episode largely forgettable.
I don't find it forgettable. I just find it to be wasted potential, which is why it's not forgettable to me. It's just like, what could have been, right?
I agree. There are a lot of missed opportunities in the story. Talking about the Time War, a lot of the second half of the episode could have been... Maybe if they just restructured it to spread all the action of the first 20 minutes out over the whole episode instead of the first 20 minutes, it might have been better. I really don't know.
But one of the things I want to also touch on here at the end is this story brings back, it links to other episodes, right? This thing of like the Doctor needs companions. This was also this was my big moment of clunky dialogue, is when Amy is like, this is what happens when you don't travel with people for too long, which also makes me question how long has it been since Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. But
and they have that line where they're like, look, people are going to start noticing we're aging quicker than them if you don't take us back. Yeah. So there's always been this idea in the reboot of like the Doctor needs his companions to keep him in check. Right. And I think this episode kind of boils that down to like its stupidest form. Like, because I don't know, how I always thought of this idea was like the Doctor... It gets too harsh on, well, maybe this is a form of it, and maybe I'm just not seeing it, but the Doctor is too harsh on himself when he doesn't have his companions around, and doesn't see, and there's almost a Drex-like figure, right? He doesn't see that he also does good as well as bad when he doesn't have his companions around to keep reminding him. I mean, that's why I think this episode would have worked a lot better without Amy and Rory at all. Like, if it had just been the Doctor shows up, because then I think the Doctor's turn on Jex would have been
I agree with that.
A bigger character moment. And then I think if maybe Isaac was the one who's like, look, we got to be better than Jex.
Yeah.
And the Doctor,
I see
and
that.
then the Doctor and Isaac are the one who have this conversation, and then the gunslinger shows up and Isaac sacrifices himself, and the Doctor, instead of being tied to the fact that Amy's sitting there in the room like, Doctor, don't you do it, it's like the Doctor's got to honor the memory of this guy who just died saving Jex and who convinced him to change his mind. Like, I think that would be a more powerful story in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't agree with the use of the word powerful, but that's an entire rant that I could go on, and I'm not going to. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this story, maybe it's doing the same thing that I'm saying, but I feel like it takes this Doctor needs his companions around in a slightly different direction.
Maybe. I don't exactly see it. But
a direction of like the Doctor is going to commit these atrocities if his companions aren't around, which I guess has always been true. But how I always thought of this is like the Doctor isn't going to realize that he's also, a hero as well as this guy who maybe does some bad along the way. Without his companions around.
Yeah.
But I guess it's both of those things, I guess.
It's both of those things, and now that you say that, is kind of a theme of this season is what does the Doctor do when he's not traveling with a companion?
Brood.
You say it as a joke, but just wait for the rest of the season.
It's kind of a joke and kind of not.
Once you've watched this whole season, you'll be like, this wasn't a joke at all.
I mean, my theory, not having watched the rest of the season, is that I know Amy and Rory are getting written out halfway through. Mm-hmm. So my guess is that there's not going to be a companion for the rest of the season. We're going to see that difference between, Doctor traveling with Amy and Rory. Although I know Clara Oswald is somehow involved in all of this. Somehow. I don't know how.
I just think the story would have worked better without Amy and Rory, because then we could have gotten that contrast where he goes, maybe next week he's like, Amy, Rory, I almost killed a dude. And based on the plot of next week's story, I think it could have tied in really well.
Actually, yeah, we've been saying this for 2 weeks now. Like, what if it was just Nefertiti and whatever his name was,
Riddell
last week?
Or what if it was just Isaac this week?
What if it was just Isaac this week, and then you could have gone back to Amy and Rory next week?
Wow,
definitely
seems like the theme is you got to let him go, Moffat.
Well, here's one thing I want to definitely touch on at the end of the 11th Doctor's run is this formula. And I wasn't planning on saying this now, but I really like the formula of actually I have said this before, one Doctor to one team of companions.
For their whole
run. I think I've said that before, like in the classic show. Probably, when Tegan, Nyssa, and Turlo stuck around for ages. But I really like that formula, and I think it often works.
I mean, I think better. 2 is the optimal number, like 2 TARDIS teams
per Doctor.
I guess, per Doctor, because it gives you that kind of contrast between. I don't know. I think it allows you to explore the Doctor to a deeper extent if you have 2, because you can have a contrast between how he acts with the one and the other. Like, I think, the 12th Doctor gets more than one TARDIS team, and I think seeing the contrast, of how the Doctor plays off of those companions is effective. And I think it's the same with the 11th Doctor. Obviously, the 11th Doctor doesn't keep Amy and Rory right straight through till he dies, unless the surprise regenerates halfway through the season. I don't know. I just think 2 is kind of the optimal number. 2 is what they went for
two
with
is a crowd.
With the 6th Doctor had Perry and then Mel, and we could see that there was like a vast difference in the way he played off of Perry and Mel, and I think that allowed us to explore his character more.
The Doctor and one companion thing is no. Glad they left that in the dust for the most part.
For the most part, Amy and Rory are the first dual companions since the classic show.
For the most part. Now, I mean, they had Rose, whatever.
Then Martha and then Donna.
But now it seems like they're on the right track.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know what's coming.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Anyway, that's it from me.
That's it for me. That's it for me. You can reach us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, mercy. Mercy.
Oh my god.
You can find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. Find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you liked the show.
Check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching...
Oh god. The Power of 3.
But until then, the end.